how we got here. I wonder myself. Alright, let's get this first one in there. See what we can do. Get a sip of this juice. Sip of juice. Uh-oh. It's like I always have to adjust the microphone because I feel like it's either too close or not close enough. I think it's a bit of a challenge. Nobody cares about your armor. Go. Take it. I'm good. I'm good. All I wanted to do was set up the bleed. That's all I wanted to do. It was a good one. The other co-op player was good. They had, you could see they had the two curved swords. I'm telling you, if you're doing a bleed build, it's the best way to go. You get you. What he had was this. I know exactly. I don't think I have him equipped on my thing here, but I can show you. What he had was he had two of these. I'm guessing maybe, or he had two of these, one or the other. I can't tell, like by looking, but so either he had two of these. I'm guessing it's two of these. I bet he had. Uh, really any of the curved swords would have been an effective choice there, because you get 4 hits for each jump light attack, and so that means you get 4 applications of bleed uh, for each one. And so his bleed was through the roof. He was just hacking through it. It's a pretty standard configuration, like you see people using. It's nothing special to it. I think people overthink builds when they are playing the game, but the reality is, first you have to sit down and think about what do you want to do, and then you have to ask yourself the question: do you feel comfortable doing it? Because just because you see somebody doing something on a video, like on YouTube, doesn't mean that you're going to have the ability to pull it off. And so you got to focus in on those two things. I learned that early when I was playing the game, but really couldn't make the proper corrections until I got to about New Game Plus 3. Because in the beginning, I was just sort of leveling everything up evenly. Like, I didn't know. I never played a Souls game before. I never played a From Software game. I'm never going to play one again because of this. But since I didn't really know what I was getting into, um, I was playing like I normally do in games, where I sort of level things up even at the beginning, and then later on I sort of specialize. This game's a little bit different. Like, you want to level everything up even until you get to about level, I'd say maybe about level 50 or so, and then you really want to start focusing in on from like level 50 to about level 125 or 100 or whatever. You're going to want to really start focusing in on, are you going to be a strength build? Are you going to be a dex build? Are you going to be a faith, intelligence? And then you start allocating those points out. But in the beginning, you're just putting your points in, vigor and endurance if you like to carry heavy equipment, and mind if you're an intelligence user. Um, and also for the faith, because you need FP, because mind, vigor controls HP, mind controls FP, and endurance controls stamina. So first you need to get a balance of those 3 stats. Then once you get that balanced and you decide, okay, I want to start using katanas. Katanas are dex weapons. So start putting more points in dex and then supplement it as needed. Because what I figured out, you want to have a primary mode of attack and you want to have a secondary mode of attack. So for me, my primary mode of attack is incantations. My secondary is strength weapons. And so if I were to switch to my character that's at level 125, you would see that in the build. It's like once you get to max level, you can pretty much do everything. And so this character's not really a build. He's just a really, really strong guy with a lot of skill. And so there's not really a lot to play in the game, once you get to this level, especially if you have the skill part of it. But at the lower levels, the build matters, because the build needs to complement your skill level and not just something you read in a blog, or not just something you saw in a YouTube video and you were like, oh well, he beat the boss in 3 seconds using this. It's like, yeah, but that's that dude's build and he's comfortable playing that way. So if you're not comfortable playing that way, then using his build is going to do nothing for you. Like, I'll use a prime example. One time I was playing and I was doing co-op and I was helping people like I normally do, and the guy sends me a note and he's like, can you help me with the boss? I'm thinking, okay, he means he wants me to come in and help me and him do the boss together, right? And I asked him, I'm like, which boss is it? It was Dragon Lord Placidusax, okay? And the thing is, you can't do co-op when you fight Dragon Lord Placidusax. It's just you and your summons, right? And he's like, I want you to do it. And so check this out. Some guy in a different country is asking me through the PlayStation to control his character using share play and beat a boss for him. y'all know how I feel about that. Like I already have a thing against like debut players and players that don't want to show any interest in playing. But to take it the next step, this guy wanted me to beat Dragon Lord Placidusax for him, me controlling his character, right? And I told him, I said, all right, I was sort of a loose day. I'm like, whatever, I'll give it a shot. His build was so jacked up, like where he kept his items, like how he set up his layout, how his stats and stuff were allocated, and I literally could not play with that character. And it has nothing to do with skill. It just has to do with I'm used to playing with a character set up a certain way, and I don't really fiddle around with those kinds of things. Like I don't go and change where my flasks are located, and I don't change the order of my spells. Like they're always the same, and I don't change which weapons are in what slot. So for you just to throw a character at me that I've never seen before and expect me to beat it is not really going to happen. And on top, there's a ton of lag when you do share play. Um, and so when we were doing it, there was a delay between my button inputs and what I could see on the screen. Uh, but inevitably, I got to the point where I was like, first I was thinking I wanted to try to do it just for the challenge, but then I was like, no, I'm not beating your boss for you. I'll show you, what I would do if I was playing with this type of character, but it's really gonna be up to you. So I got the boss like all the way down to like the last quarter of health, and essentially left. Not interested in you. See, that's called time wasters right there. Like, I'm not interested. This ain't Night Rain. That's why they made Night Rain, so you can run around and do that kind of stuff. I'm not. He's getting blocked, if you're wondering what's happening right now. But yeah, soon after that guy, after I, showed him what to do, um, he does it himself, right? And he sends me a note, and he's like, I was able to beat him. And I'm like, good for you. And then I blocked him. Because my thing is, if you were willing to cheat to try to get your platinum trophy, um, you're not the kind of person I want to play games with. So, because that says a lot about your personality. It's just a game. So here's the thing: if you can't do it, then you can't do it. Don't get other people to do it for you. There's co-op modes. The game is arranged this way, a certain way for a reason. Dragon Lord Placidusax doesn't have call-ins because the developer wanted you to do that yourself. And if you can't follow the rules, you trying to bend and break them, I guess it says a lot about you. There's a whole lot about you, actually. And these people doing this thing of, trying to give you items and stuff like that, don't take them. Um, I made that mistake early on in the game where I, went to do PvP and do a dungeon with somebody, and the guy was, leaving weapons and stuff for people to pick up, and it was stuff that was hacked. And what ends up happening is if you have an item that's been modified outside of the game and you're using it in the game, or even if it's in your inventory, you're going to get a note from FromSoft and from PlayStation or whoever, and they're going to tell you if you don't get rid of the item, then your account is going to get deleted. Right? And so it's just people being trolls and setting people up by putting down bum items to get your account blocked. Because FromSoft will delete your account. It's in the terms and conditions that if you're doing something outside of the terms of the game, you can have your account deleted and blocked. And so if you like playing online and if you like, doing this kind of co-op stuff, don't take items from other people. And rune dupers are in that same world. I've met a lot of rune dupers, playing this game. People that duplicate uh, these things, and then they give them to other people and stuff like that, or they use them for themselves to level themselves up real quick. And you can always tell a rune duper when you see them. Usually they're playing at a really high level, but they have no skill. Because the thing is, it's like if you would have earned that level, that means you would have been playing for a while. And I doubt anybody would have just been there farming Alvanerics um, down there where Moog is to get all them points. Most people that have a high level, if you're doing it the right way, it's because you're winning, fights, you're winning PvP fights against other players, because the reward you get for killing somebody in PvP is a percentage of whatever they need to get to the next level. So if you're fighting high level people and you beat them, it doesn't work in the Coliseum though, so keep that in mind. In the Coliseum, you don't get a reward for that. But if you're in a dungeon and the dungeon gets invaded and you beat the invader, you get a percentage of whatever that invader needed to get to the next level as your reward. So the higher the invader level, the more money you get. Um, but I stopped doing those kinds of things because they're not worth my time. It wasn't worth the money, and I didn't get any enjoyment out of fighting other people. When I first did PvP, I was doing it purely because I wanted the upgrades. I wanted the runes. And so I would do all the dungeon crawls, and I'd do all the boss fights, and I put my summon sign down. At one point, I literally had every summon point activated. Um, and they could call me anywhere, and I would fight. Um, but now it's like, what's the point? Because here's the thing: I'm not interested in playing with a lot of people that play this game, and that's something that I've learned over the last couple of years. Uh, a lot of the people are like trolls and cheaters, and I'll fight you in the Coliseum, but I'm not going to fight you in a dungeon or something like that where you can try to hide or do your little spam moves and all the rest of that stuff. In the Coliseum is fine because it's open. There's no walls. There's nothing else. We both have the same amount of flasks. Everybody's on a level playing field coming in with resources other than your build, and the items you got in your inventory. When you do dungeons and stuff, people like to do stuff that hits you through the wall and all kinds of other crazy jazz. It's not fun. Just not fun. Like a guy I ran into the other day that decided he wanted to keep spamming uh, Miriam's vanishing while doing the little explosive cosm thing, little microcosm explosive, which is also stupid. But yeah, two reasons why I'll never play another From Software game again. One, it's the community of players. And two, it is also the game itself. The game itself is cheats all the way around because it button reads. And the host gets himself killed because the host is dead. DLC is garbage. This is your reward for being a good player. You get called in at the high level, and the people are still scrubs because they can't control their builds. Like they have no control of their builds. They don't know the boss's move sets. They don't know anything. But yeah, like I said before, not gonna buy another From Software game again. They got my money for the base game. They got my money for the DLC. I spent $100 all total on this game, and I'm not giving From Software another dime because Night Rain was nothing but trash. It was nothing but a recycled mod that everybody jumped on. You know what it looks a lot like though? It looks a lot like that. Uh, it's a Zelda game where it almost where you're fighting like on a battlefield. It's kind of like that. Uh, but the thing is, they try to charge you what $40 for recycled content, and then another $25 for the DLC, which is more recycled content. I mean, it looks like they put in a couple more new enemies, but I'm not paying $60 altogether just so I can get a few new characters, a few new bosses, and an incomplete story. Because yeah, in what I've seen of it, I still don't see how it all ties back into this. I mean, I see how it does loosely, but it's not what I've seen is not worth me spending any more money with the company for sure. But if y'all want to spend money, you're welcome to. I'm not telling anybody what they should or shouldn't do with their money. I'm just saying what I'm doing with mine. Because I actually had a guy try to debate with me about it. He was like, "Well, are you gonna get Night Rain?" And I said no. And he's like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "I just don't think it's worth it." And he was like, "Explain to me why don't you think it's worth it?" I don't have to explain to you why I don't think it's worth it. You know, I did. But the thing is, to ask somebody something like that is just really, I don't know, it's just really rude. Because the thing is, if I don't want to get it, I don't want to get it. And whatever you say is not going to sell me on it. Matter of fact, it's probably going to make me not want to buy it even more. Because that means more people like you are playing it.
I asked you not to disturb me. Be thankful that it is all that...
So soon after that conversation online, I blocked him too. The thing is, From Software and Bandai Namco don't need you out there cheerleading for their trash, you know. And I can legitimately call Elden Ring Night Rain trash because let's look at some numbers for a second, okay? If you were to go on YouTube right now, right, and you go to the Elden Ring channel, and you see how many people subscribe to the Elden Ring gaming channel, that's on YouTube, and you look at the number of people that subscribe to the Elden Ring Night Rain channel, and you look at the percentage of those numbers, the Elden Ring Night Rain channel has 10%. 10%. And maybe it's 15% now, but nonetheless less than 20%. And let's go ahead and use 20. Let's be liberal. Less than 20% of the total number of members that are in the original base game. So that means only 1 out of 5 people who played Elden Ring and signed up for that channel also bought Night Rain and signed up for that channel. So you lost 80% of your base by changing up the formula and creating a mod for 2/3 the price of a full game, right? It's a smart business move. I applaud From Software and Bandai Namco for doing it. It was a way to squeeze as much blood out of the rock as they could. Because by the time Night Ring came out, Elden Ring was 3 years old. So, what better way to make more money is to do something that companies do in the commercial world all the time, and it's called a rebrand. And a rebrand, usually they'll put new packages on it. They'll say stuff like it's new and improved. But the thing is, the improvements and the things that they changed about it a lot of times are minimal and negligible. It's just a marketing trick to try to pull you back in because they knew people were still thirsty. So the smart thing would have done would have been to make another DLC for this game, to make Night Rain an accessible portion of the base game. But no, they made it a whole standalone, a whole nother piece. And there might be technical reasons behind that. I don't know. I don't know. But the fact that they took it off in a different direction made me feel even more alienated and not wanting to do it. But like I said, I'm not one to tell you how to spend your money. I'm just telling you why I didn't spend mine that way. We'll do one more, and then we will call it a day. Well, thank you whoever stopped by and gave me a like. I always appreciate that. Sorry you had to listen to my rant there for a second. We're hanging out, seeing if we can get a couple good boss fights in before we run out of time. I don't know if I'm going to get any more boss fights up here. I'm not quitting the game. I'm just going to switch characters real quick. We're going to go to a lower level so I can see if I can get a little bit more activity. If you're wondering, if you're ever looking at these and you're wondering why I have so many different characters at different levels, the reason why is that this first one is my original character. So when I got the game like 3 years ago, 3+ years ago, this was the guy that I started playing with, and that's how he got to max level. It took him 3 years to get to that. These other two I got him to level 400, but what makes them unique is the first character, he's on New Game 30. These two are still on the original game. They've never done New Game at all. So they're just in base Elden Ring. And what I learned was that when you get to about level 300 in just the base game, you become like, you're like unstoppable. If I play with these characters and get called up, like going through the bosses is like, a hot knife through butter. So this was me testing the theory to see where God status can be achieved in the original playthrough. These two down here are at level 150, so they're at meta. And so these characters are good when I'm looking to get the most activity and do PvP fights and, wanting to get caught up pretty regularly. Um, this guy has been to the DLC and beat it, and this guy has too. But these guys down here have never been to the DLC, and I was sort of saving them because I wanted to give me something to do. If I was ever bored, I can go back through and do the DLC at level 150, and then I have an intelligence build that I could do the DLC with at level 400. But you can see from the hours I've been playing for a while, for a good little while. Let's see what we can get into. let's do something here. What is that moving? Oh, it's those deer. I'm like, what is that moving over there? But yeah, with this guy, like you can see, he's a real deal. Nothing too extravagant. And he's at meta. I think meta has gone down. I feel like meta should really be like a 125. I think meta's between 125 and 150. The only reason I don't like playing at 125 is because I feel like a lot of the guys that are playing down there are still gankers. There's a lot of people playing like at really low levels, like sub 100s. I wouldn't say those are really low, but sub 100 levels, and then you really start running into gankers and cheaters. It's people that you can clearly see that don't have a high level of skill, that have beat the game before, and they basically do like a speed run through the game just so they can get the items and the spells and stuff that they want, and then they just do invasions, and that kind of stuff just gets old to me after a while. I'm like, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Like I said, I wish if FromSoft, so for me, the biggest mistake I feel like FromSoftware made was making Night Rain a standalone game. If they would have built Night Rain into this and made it like an accessible area, as an accessible DLC to like Shadow of the Erdtree, I think it would have done a lot better. But the fact that they made it a standalone game, it just looked like they were willing to pander out slop, and it was just money hungry. If you're wondering why I was sidestepping like that, it's because I thought he was going to do that jump. Sometimes them hands will like jump at you. And I've learned that when they're in the air, like if they got iframes, so I was trying to get him to lunge. Slow day. Down. I'm good. Here, let's go fight that troll. That thing. Let's do that. Just looking for calls you up right when you knock the dude down. I get no buffs from me. I don't buff other people. YouTube channels where like people backseat other people playing the game because you can tell that those people don't really have any skill because everything they say is wrong. Like, it's the reason why they get themselves killed. You do it, dives roll into it. I don't even want to do it. It's not a good idea. You see how smart they are. Where's the host? Where's the host? See how they're all out of position? And this is not worth my time. Let's just observe for a second. Where's the host? Why is the host all the way over there still and not going over there to do the fight? What's going on? Go ahead and end it right here. Leave your rooms on the ground, right here. Leave them on the ground. Leave them on the ground. Get up here and fight. Get up here and fight. Quit running. Quit running. Quit running. It's not how this works. I know what you're doing. You're trying to get behind me so that he focuses on me and not you. No. You go ahead. Go ahead and leave your rooms. Leave them right here. Leave them right here. Yep. Because you were fighting like a coward. You deserved that.